Yeah, so now let's go ahead and look at Ephesians 6. Because it's there you see a father who in the very beginning is really exasperating his own son. And that's just something that I think sometimes us fathers, we can be quick and we can be fast and a little bit too harsh at times and not realize that what Scripture is talking about is really a warning to fathers. And you see this happening with this character, and it's really an interesting journey. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, Ephesians 6 starts with telling children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you, that you may enjoy long life on the earth. It's very interesting because Scripture so often talks about two things. First, he says, obey your parents in the Lord. Why? Because it's right. Then he says, if you honor your father and mother, God will bless you with certain things going well for you. It doesn't mean all things will go well the way you want them to, but God will bless you and honor that. And so there are certain things that come out of making the right choice. So what is the right choice is also the smart choice. Just as Proverbs makes clear, whatever is the wrong choice is also the stupid choice. So there's wisdom and there's foolishness. Choose the path of wisdom. This is for children as well as for adults. It's the wise thing, children, to obey your parents and to submit to authority and recognize the legitimacy of authority in your workplace, in your church, in your family, and other places in life. Then he says, okay, so he's appealing to the fact that fathers and mothers are authorities, but now he's coming right back. Fathers, lest you misunderstand and abuse your authority. He doesn't say those words, but I think that's implied, because then he says, fathers, do not exasperate your children. Don't frustrate your children. Don't make your children resent you. Well, that comes out clearly in the storyline of the movie and the novel. Courageous, because you have a father who is frustrating and exasperating his teenage son. Dylan, the teenage son, he wants to he's a runner, and he's on the high school track team. He's just a freshman, but and there's this race coming up, and it's a 5K race, but it's father and son have to enter together to be in it, and he's asking his dad to do it. Well, his dad hates to run. So his dad basically is saying to Dylan, don't nag me about this race. There's going to be other races. You can enter them. And he sees his dad loving the younger sister, but not being there for the teenage son. She's charming, she's sweet, and dad is marginalizing and being critical. And when it says don't exasperate your children, I think what it's saying is don't do this thing where you're disinterested and you're passive, and then you have gusts of aggression where you enter into the scene with condemnation and correction. Now, all of a sudden, dad's, way off in the distance, something happens, and then dad enters the life from Mount Sinai or Mount Olympus, choose your mountain, I guess, and come on down there where the mortals live, just to make a great declaration and to be angry and to say, I don't ever want to catch you doing that again. And by catch, he means your mom told me this, because you're not involved enough in their life often to know. And then you go back up on your mountain. Unfortunately, in this case, going back up on the mountain often means doing your own thing, being gone, working. I'm all for dads working hard to provide for their family. I did that. And I do that, but you got to be there for your kids, and don't go off and withdraw and do the world of television and all of that kind of stuff. Be there for your kids. And then your kids, when they see you coming across as an authority figure, when you must gently but firmly give correction, if you have created a family context in which you are there, they know you were there, you have played games with them, you have had many conversations with them, you've had fun with them, you've had meals with them, you've gone out places together and had fun. Now you bring the correction, and you've earned the right, because you're there for your kids. They know that you love them, and it's not just all correction they're getting from their dad. That's how you succeed in not exasperating your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. And these are really, the training thing is really an athletic word. And this is something where, I've been a coach, and I've coached tennis. Steve, you coached baseball. We know what it's like to try to pour ourselves into these kids. But once again, if you want them to listen to you, you'd better give them some great positive things along the way too, not just correct them whenever they do wrong. You need to be positive with those kids. Show them that you care. I had a football coach when I was in 8th grade who had a personal interest in my life. We had a lousy team. I was quarterback of that lousy team. I was not a great quarterback, but I'll tell you what, that guy believed in me. He loved me. I got into high school, and the coaches, everything was correction for everybody on the team. They'd yell at us. We'd lose a game, which we always did, and we'd come home. There were only 600 kids at Barlow High School the first year. In those days, David Douglas had 4,000 kids. So do you think we're going to beat up David Douglas? No, we're not going to. But then we'd come back, and they'd make us run 2 miles around the track after we had lost in a football game. And this was, to me, like, okay, you're my authority, but I never want to play football again. And didn't, and no big loss to the football world. But nonetheless, the point was, if somebody's there for you and believes in you, dads, coaches, you'll die for them. But if they don't, and they treat you harshly and don't give you any affirmation to go along with it, don't expect them to follow what you're saying.